So I woke up today thinking about Millia Rage, which to be honest I often do, but I wanted to make a quick video explaining why I think she is so incredibly cool this version of the game. And first I wanted to just quickly talk about movement. So I assume we all know about like if you're a fast character you can like, stand in this kind of range here and then like they feel encouraged to press a button and then you can do dash FD to like, threaten to move into the range but not actually force a whiff and then punish it. All that stuff is very, very fun. I really enjoy it. But Millie in particular, I think her JS is just an extremely cool button because it's this kind of walling aerial. Um, and she has enough movement options that she can change the implications of the aerial a lot. So compared to every other character in the game, Millie is able to do this in neutral and threaten a lot of options off it. Because she can threaten like air dash back button like a lot of characters can, but she can also threaten like double jump back and then air dash, or double jump back and just land. And then after landing JS, you can RPS with like another far slash to just like, catch someone who's moving into that space. You can do 2K to do the same thing. You can do another jump if they're doing nothing. You can backdash if you think they've already got there in time. Like, this allows you to safely enter this kind of space here. That Millia wants to be at to threaten these kind of like RPS things where the opponent feels threatened to press first. She can enter these spaces safely with JS, basically, which I think is like, it's a very cool way to play neutral. Because you're constantly judging spaces, because even though you can enter the space safely, they could have, in that time it took me to land, move into a space that was less advantageous for me. So I'm having to like judge on the fly, oh, am I going to jump back? Am I going to air dash back? Maybe I want to do Capel instead if they go too far in. I think all this stuff is really cool. And Capel, this version, I think is too strong, but I'll explain what I think is too strong about it. So, like, broadly speaking, I think that Capel's use for, like, this kind of thing, or indeed even this kind of thing, I think is actually completely fine. I think that the reason that JS is so strong, to be clear, is because you can threaten from this IDJH, right? It's like I can threaten either going in with this and hitting both sides and getting a combo, or I can like back off and wall things out. The fact that it's ambiguous is what makes it strong. But if this option, like if the, air dash JH was just consistently answered by anti-airs, then I don't think Millia would work. And it's why she has an anti-anti here in this game, and it's why she has one in an Xrd as well, because 6Ps are so powerful, and in general, air-to-air games are very powerful in Guilty Gear, and they're very high reward in this game too. So Capel existing as that kind of tool is fine, I think. And I think that also, honestly, at higher levels of play, even though people send Capel all the time, to be clear, and I think it is too good for that, they're often sending it in, ways that are like this. The RPS, because Billy has low life, it's unlikely that if someone's doing this at you, that it's good. Like, I think if you're getting hit by this kind of thing, that was your fault, basically. And similarly, these, like, just doing, like, IED Capel at someone, I put the combo free twice in a row, is not actually that good, for a multitude of reasons. It's normally better to use Capel to land into dangerous spots than to use it as the approach option. But the fact that you can threaten it for this kind of thing, I think is important, because otherwise people would just hit her and, not a huge amount. And maybe you're like frothing at the screen right now because you're like, well, how could you possibly say Capel is well designed? My issue with it is more on block, where basically I think this situation is far too powerful, and this situation is like also pretty good, but in particular, I think this is the spot that needs to go. Like, I don't think she should be able to get, if she gets JH after it, I don't think she should be able to get it in the corner or something. I don't know what exactly the change would be, but this is +7. And Millia's reward off throw in the corner is extremely high, because she just gets a guaranteed 50-50 with that. Well, semi-guaranteed, but and yeah, so basically I think that the Capel on block is the problem. Capel giving this on hit that's completely fine, I think. Especially because like it's only from like IED height. If I'm even like slightly above IED height, then it doesn't combo properly. So yeah, I think her neutral is basically really fun, and it's very powerful, to be clear. But one of the other things I think is very cool about Millia in this version is her weaknesses are very well defined, which hasn't been the case for a while now. And it's not just she's low life, so she can't RPS as aggressively, though I do think that's a good thing for a character who's able to, because like if this character had large life and was just doing this kind of stuff, it would be very, very stupid. The fact that she can't just send things at you forever and will die if you do hit her, I think makes her, like, her neutral make sense. It makes it more interesting, I think. But her other weaknesses are much better defined in this version. Primarily, her damage is very low. Unless she gets, like, a close slash starter in the corner, which, like, you know, granted, that will kill you. The damage off disc mix is, like, very low. Like, if I do a staircase combo to Millia at, like, nearly max health, that was 130 damage. Like, imagine how much that is to, like, a Sol or even a Potemkin, right? And so yeah, the damage is very low on her mix, and also her meter gain is back to being the worst in the game. And there may be another character I'm not thinking of who's worse, but if you haven't played Millia before, I would encourage you to play her and discover how many touches it will take you sometimes to actually reach 50 bar. Like, when I play any other character, I am astounded by how quickly I reach 50 bar compared to Millia, who I'm sometimes eating 3 full touches before I get to 50 and break the wall. But this combination of low meter gain and low damage makes her interact with the wall in ways that I think there was the original aspiration of it, where it is basically very rare that you will get a hit and then just go, okay, fuck it, and then dial in a wall break. You know, because that didn't do that much damage, whereas by comparison, if I do this and then set up this mix, whatever, I've built myself a lot more beater, done more damage. Basically, Millia resets a lot more in this version, which is also interesting because she's low life. That gives the opponent technically more interaction points because she's not just, you know, doing a full combo every time. It's making you interact with her mix more, which wouldn't be very interesting if her mix wasn't interesting. But I think her mix is basically a work of art. And I'll go over why, because again, you might be frothing at the screen, being like, "This character just makes me guess. What's fair about that?" So basically, anytime Millia makes you, like, outright guess, either the reward is, like, not very high damage, so, like, 2k2d is her win condition, and this is her best mix-up, but as I've been over, the damage is actually very low on this. So that's one balancing factor that makes sense in this version. Other situations where you just have to guess are, like, off this, if I do JPP versus 2k, these are both very low reward hits. They pretty much, I will do a wall break, but I will do like a, you know, I'll do a wall break because the wall's already damaged. The actual damage on these mix-ups is very, very low. And the other situations where Millia forces you to guess are metered options. And for Millia to use her metered options, she has to either do close slash into Bad Moon, do Capel into Bad Moon. This one's honestly possibly a bit too strong, but that's an aside. Or she has to do, you know, something like this, which, as you can see, has a 7-frame gap. You can mash on that. Or something like this, which is, you know, very, very low reward in terms of damage. So, aside from that, though, all of Millia's mix is basically just layers of mental stack and RPS. And what's really, really important is that none of it loops into itself. So this powerful mix-up option, you know, the 2k2d, there is no meterless way to get that knockdown again, right? So what ends up happening is that Millia does not just loop, you know, the same Oki until you die. She is cycling between multiple different versions of the Oki. And the Oki that she cycles into is either fuzzyable, you know, like this kind of stuff, or if it's not fuzzyable, it's low reward, or it's mental stack stuff. So in this way, Millia is actually an extremely interactive character to play against, and at least I feel that way on defense against her, because her damage is low enough that she's causing a lot of interactions, but she's not causing the same interaction over and over again. So instead of it just being a simple thing of like, okay, the thing I have to learn, you know, if you think about like mix-up characters who like the primary way of interacting with you in offense and defense is just high versus low, right? I don't think someone like that exists in Strive right now, but let's just say as an example. Then we're not actually having like a deeply layered amount of RPS. Actually, a good example, back whenever Wild Assault was wall broke, Millia would do Wild Assault wall break, and then would just do run up Bad Moon or run up 2S. And that was all. So whenever I played against people, it didn't feel like I was actually learning their habits. I was learning which did they guess last time, and based on how they play, which is more likely to work. Like a straight up 50-50 is less interesting to me than all the different options that go into, you know, this versus, you know, making stuff like this work because I'm catching certain fuzzy timings, or doing this because I'm catching certain fuzzy timings, or doing super jump to, you know, catch all that stuff. Those elements are a lot more interesting to me, but having a straight up high-low as a reward for meter, or as a reward for certain knockdowns, which I spent meter to get, or for 2k2d, which then leads into a good knockdown, but it, you know, it's informed by her neutral shit to get the 2k2d. All of this tied together, I think, makes Millia's offense so cool. It's hard to really put into words how much I love playing offense on Millia, because even though it is very powerful, to be clear. When I say it's interactive, but you will probably eat shit. It's really strong. But yeah, I just think it is like, it's so well put together that it feels like almost like an accident, because other characters to me don't feel like they have this like layer of situations happening and changing or whatever. If you compare to a lot of characters' offense in this game, it is often look for this versus, you know, like look for the slow reset versus the quick frame trap or whatever kind of things, you know. Like I'd much rather defend against like a solo bad guy or a Giovanna, where like different options are being presented that like we're adjusting to on a level beyond just two binary high-low options. I'm kind of yapping, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. I also think that Millia in this version, despite having the weaknesses I just mentioned, has a great ability to adapt and match up, since because of this special, which is insanely powerful, this version, to be clear. But I think it allows her to play matchups of why she couldn't, because if I turn on this, her hurt box extends before the forward slash comes out. She's like Zato's 2S or whatever. So basically Millia struggles to deal with disjoints, which is important in her neutral, because it makes it so whenever people fight against her, they feel encouraged to press buttons early, but they can press this or these buttons very safely. And if you just do this, she will probably, you know, extend her hurt box into it. It says I'm not doing that. Yeah, like that kind of thing. But also if you press K buttons, to be clear, Millia's K buttons actually aren't very good against herself, I should say. But anyway, if you press K buttons against her, you still have time to react if she air dashes at you. So how does she deal with that? She does S-Disc. And she can do it from ranges that can beat people running into her. They can beat people putting out like preemptive pokes like this. And it makes her neutral like even more difficult to deal with. But S-Disc is also an airborne counter hit recovery thing. So if you're a character who can call it out, then she does explode. But basically I think this allows her to deal with matchups that otherwise would be like insurmountable for what feels like quite silly reasons. Like the fact that like I wouldn't be able to fight Zato because he can just press this and I can't really deal with it feels kind of silly. But the fact that I can, you know, call those out with my S-Disc, which like has moderate reward, but like it's not like I'm getting like a full like combo off it or whatever whenever I'm calling out Edulous Zato. It's a cool tool to allow her to adapt to different matchups, but critically her weaknesses are still very much intact. The fact that I have S-Disc to fight against like Gold Lewis or something doesn't make him unable to kill me or press 2P to obsolete a lot of my options, whatever, that kind of thing. Like, I think it's important that Millia has bad matchups, same way I think every character should have bad matchups, right? But I also think it's good to have tools that allow them to adjust their game plan accordingly. Millia plays like very differently in different matchups. Against some characters you will just run at them. Against some characters you will kind of back up and do this a lot. Against some characters you will want to stay grounded. Against some characters you want to stay airborne. And it creates like a, you know, very different kind of gameplay per character and per player as well. And the last little thing I want to go over on why I think she's so cool is that she just has a lot of depth and a lot of cool execution checks. At least compared to like other characters I've played in this game, I felt like there's a lot of rewards for staying in the lab as Millia and practicing difficult things and learning optimal combos. And yeah, I'm not going to show off a big example of all of them right now, possibly because they're quite hard, so I can't do every single hard thing on Millia at once. But the fact that like basically every single Millia still messes up this kind of stuff, I think is a good thing, you know? Like, making that ambiguous is actually really, really difficult. And it makes it very rewarding and makes it so when people pull out hard things, you can go, oh, that's the difficult thing. But also, most of her difficult stuff only really applies at high levels of play. because, you know, before you really understand Millia, you're probably going to get hit by this regardless, just because you don't know what's happening. But against people who really know, making her offense tick against people who like truly understand the character is very rewarding, because it's so difficult, because they have so many fuzzy options available to them. They have so much knowledge that they can apply based on when the turbo fall is going to hit, how much I delay the turbo fall by, the 8 or 9 jump and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I realize I have yaps for way too long. But I just wanted to kind of like, I'll not get this off my chest, but just explain why I just think she is so cool. And I'm really inspired to just keep playing her for a long time. And if you're someone who like really hates Millia and you hear me say Capel is good design and Estes being good is good, and you want to call me a slur in the comments, please don't use one of the bad slurs. Use like a funny one, I don't know.